Welcome, gentlemen and a handful of ladies, to Gearwire Crosstalk Show or Program, episode number 33.
33.
Wow, a handful.
This is part one of two of a series of Back to Basics, where we talk about, well, the basics. Things that some people may have overlooked, things that some people may have missed, and things that newbies may be facing and need a little bit of help on. So we're going to break some things down for you. Yeah, questions like that. By the way, my name, as always, is Michael Seamus Payne, and with me is Mr. Drew Krag.
What's up?
Drew Krag,
And the fabulous Chubby Weatherald.
Chub.
Perfect. So let's get started. Let's get right on to things. Part one of our Back to Basics special edition this week, we're going to talk about that annoying hum you get from guitar cables and how to eliminate that. We've got some beautiful props that Mr. Drew Krag has brought in, and we'll talk a little bit about what you can do to ensure a clean signal from your guitar when you are recording. Any opinions on that, guys?
Well, like Britton mentioned a few moments ago, 9 times out of 10, it's not the guitar cable that's buzzing. It's usually ground problems in your amp and or this is kind of a noob show, so we're going to be talking about some very obvious things for us that may not be obvious for beginners and such, like single coil pickups. They buzz. It's just the way that they are. So if you have a Fender Strat, it's going to buzz. That's just the way it is, unless you get noiseless pickups, which have a coil going the other way as well. The other option that you'd have is just getting a gate pedal so you can eliminate the buzz. But that's just one of those natural phenomenons of single coil pickups.
Well, it's because the fact that there's no reverse polarity to actual cancel phase.
Exactly.
And the winding. Because it's basically when you take it, you got 5 magnets, right? And you wire coil around them to charge the magnets. So when you string vibrates, it creates some sound. Thing with single coil pickups is it's a single coil going this way. Humbucking pickups are dual coils, one wired the other way in reverse polarity to actually reduce the amount of noise.
So the fact that it's reverse polarity, that kicks the hum.
Hence the term humbucker.
Yeah, but
okay.
that
bucks the hum.
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
That's the reason why it creates noise. Even they do shield the cavities and stuff like that. Most newer Strat style guitars, if you have a good American made one, they'll line the body with some shielding and shield all the connection points. So it's actually not as noisy as people would think. A lot of the time you're thinking why is it buzzy? Why is it really is it really my single coil pickup? No. Is it my cable? These are $40 monster cables. No, it's not. It's the fact that your amp or your amps, multiple amps, are actually plugged into the same source as your PA system or something that can cause a loop effect. Like if you have a pedal board and you're plugged into your amp, those are going to actually add noise. A lot of easy way to alleviate these is plugging your amp straight into the wall and then plugging your pedal board into a wall wart on the other side of the room or stuff like that. Using ground lifts is another way to get rid of that. And then
what's that?
A ground lift is can be 2 different things. You can get a really fancy one for $60 from different retailers called the Ebtech Humex, which is just basically it's a 60 cycle filter, because most ground noise comes the zzz kind of hum is a 60 cycle. It's a 60 cycle noise that happens. Now ground lifters take that, it's because it's a ground issue. That's where the 60 cycle comes from. Then lift that. The fancy ones have electronic transformers, so you don't actually have to cut off the little ground cable for safety and whatnot. But if you're in a bind, you can get these things from Home Depot for $3. They're ground lifters. It's a 3-prong to 2-prong.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's really all you do is take it, plug it in, bam. A lot of times that eliminates the noise.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot of amps as well have ground switches on them. Reverses the polarity and such, so that you can kind of cancel out the hum that way as well.
Yeah, especially when you're using 2 amp setups. I use a 2 amp setup right now, and if I don't reverse the polarity on one of my amps, I get a huge hum when I'm not playing. It's not from my guitar, it's not from my pedal board, it's just because I'm using 2 older amps that, in the same space and time with the same power. So
yeah.
And typically switching that reverse polarity switch that bucks the hum job.
Well, yeah, for lack of better words.
Gotcha.
Bucks the hum job, yeah. I mean, but guitar cables are kind of, you don't need to spend $40 on a good cable. You can actually spend not that much, just as long as it's a shielded cable, and as long as your ground is properly tied to your negative signal or your pin. Can I see one of those?
Yeah, sure. Here's the good one.
Essentially, tip ring. So this is the sleeve, tip and sleeve, and then there's a ring if you have a balance cable. This needs to be tied. Like the ground needs to be tied to your sleeve connection, and that's normally your negative signal. Like you have very hot and negative. This would be the black wire for all you stereo enthusiasts, and then the red is the tip. So that's how it's wired. I could open it up and show you that, but it's not really necessary. So that, and it's properly shielded with some sort of fiberglass coating around the wire. That's pretty much standard on most cables. You don't need to get something fancy. You don't need gold contact connectors. You don't need, triple platinum gauge wiring.
But wait, Monster Cable says
a lot of things. But they're full of shit most of the time.
Yeah. What about Mogami?
I mean, all right. So here's the advantages of gold contacts. It's a better, lower impedance, like more efficient electronic connection point. Like copper and like silver have very like low comparatively to other things for conduction, but gold is like super efficient for conducting, and platinum for that matter is even better for conducting electric signal. And that's basically all you're doing is taking electric signal and cycling it through different things, and that's how you're creating sound. So like gold is supposed to be like really affordable, at the same time something that's really, easy and very, very smooth on the conduction point for electricity, so it doesn't actually really distort your signal. But you're not dealing with like super hi-fi electrical, like, you don't need purity. What you need is like auditory cleanliness and sound. So a school of thought is to actually take that and use gold contacts, but you can actually avoid all that most of the time, and nobody will really know the difference.
Yeah.
I have noticed that if you have kind of a crappier guitar cable, it can kind of over-accentuate other buzz problems that may be coming from ground problems, you know what I mean? Kind of make it worse. But usually the cables themselves wouldn't be what's causing the actual buzz.
Well, I mean, for example, I have like shoddy cables and good cables. The shoddy cables are these really skinny, the ones you get in the guitar player
those ones
packs.
are horrible.
yeah, because they're not shielded.
Yeah, they're
not shielded. That's like the main thing. So it doesn't need to be a gold super conductor. It just needs to be shielded because that reduces the actual, hum that you're going to get from other electronics.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me just show you this real quick. This is kind of off the topic slightly, but I bought these two cables at the exact same time about a year ago. They're the same brand cable. This cable here has been properly taken care of and properly wrapped up. And if you check out the Gearwire site, you can find how to actually coil a cable properly, which is a very standard thing. And I don't think I should really go through it right now because we already have a video of it. But as you can see, this one is perfectly straight. If you unwound it, it's a perfectly straight cable. There's nothing wrong with it. This cable has been improperly coiled. Coiled just like you'd think about coiling like a regular extension cable. You just keep putting it in circle, and it actually twists the wire and turns it into this. You can see how you can't even coil this one up straight anymore. It's just kind of worthless at this point. And, it wouldn't necessarily give the cable a buzz by any means, but it drastically reduces the shelf life of your cable when you cable it improperly. So
yeah, but there's ways to get around all that stuff.
Yeah, you can. You can always bring a cable back from the dead.
But just like sitting there and actually unwinding the cable itself from the twists and whatnot, just letting it lay out straight and fanning it out will avoid that. What he's talking about though is the shelf life of a cable will be drastically shortened. If you keep on twisting it, you're going to give breaks in the actual wire, and if you do that, you'll get a short, and then that's why you get the no signal kind of thing. Or if you get you'll get crosstalk because if the wires actually start braiding and then they start touching each other, then you'll have mixture of signal.
Gotcha.
There you go.
I think that's a pretty good walkthrough of some basic cable issues that a lot of people may face when they're starting out or when they've been running for a little while. Personally, I've been doing recording for quite a long time now, probably about 8 years, but these are things, a lot of them that I still didn't know because I don't typically deal with a lot of rock music. So it's interesting to me. I appreciate you guys walking through that.
Oh, sure.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and watching. We will see you next time.
Peace. Oh, yeah.